Welcome to, I guess, the last virtual event of the year. Should be cool for those of you who've been around for a while. It's Oliver and Terry Holler, and you probably know them, but I know there's some new faces around who probably haven't run into them. And I think the slide showing up here does a pretty good job of what they're going to say here. Anyway, they're going to share with us some of their adventures in their time machine, which would be really cool.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, guys. I hope this isn't going to be too boring because I see, a few older faces like ours on the screen, and that means we've been around for a while. We've been lucky enough to be around for a while and enjoy the DeLorean community for many years. And we've given this presentation a couple of times, but
well, we'll move right along and get on to it. How about that?
I think that's a good idea. So anyway, we got this introduction sent to us by mail. It was we didn't
Unsolicited.
unsolicited, but it was a nice surprise.
Here you go.
For years, Terry and Oliver Holler have been hitting the road in their DeLorean. For years, Terry and Oliver Holler have been hitting the road in their DeLorean time machine to speed a future without PD. They've raised dollars and awareness in more states and countries than any other Team Fox member. They've spent more time in a DeLorean than even I have, which is saying something. Terry and Oliver, on behalf of our foundation, everyone with PD, and Back to the Future fans around the world, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael J. Fox.
He doesn't need an introduction for sure. What we're going to cover is basically how to fall in love, how to build a time machine, how to become rich and famous, how to travel the world, and how to cure PD, all in 45 minutes. So buckle up. 1985, I think pretty much everybody here knows what happened in 1985. Back to the Future was the number one movie of the year, big box office success. I was a senior in high school, just getting to learn about cars and things. My family was never a car-centric kind of family, but man, when that DeLorean rolled out of the truck, I think like a lot of people, it really caught my eye.
And I was already out of high school for a little bit, and I was in love with Huey Lewis and Michael J. Fox. Family Ties was my show.
So 7 years later, we met, and as we were dating, we asked each other what kind of foods we like, and
What's your favorite song? What's your favorite movie?
movie? And we both said Back to the Future.
Ooh.
You got to be real careful when that happens, because then you got to put a ring on it.
There you go. Okay, there.
All right.
Moving on.
Over the years, our friends knew about our obsession with Back to the Future, and we joked about building a time machine. Oh, look at that. Isn't that a nice transition?
Hey, dream.
Yeah. Before we all were owners, we all had that dream of having a DeLorean, and I called it my magnificent obsession.
Dreams are nice, and everybody has them.
Everybody has dreams, but reality and life gets in the way. You put things off. And how many times has everybody heard the phrase, if I win the lottery, I'm going to do this. You hear your friends say that. Sometimes you say that. But nobody ever wins the lottery that I know of.
Well, statistically, we all have a better chance of being struck by lightning.
Bolt of lightning. Well, that's what happened to us, kind of like in the movie. Friday, August 4th, the year 2000.
A doctor sat us down and explained to us that Oliver had cancer and only 6 months to live.
You need to say that with more gravitas.
Oliver has cancer.
Yes, it was
Very scary.
pretty striking. Now, what does this have to do with Back to the Future and DeLoreans and stuff like that? Well, just sit tight. We'll get to that. But first, concerning the wake-up call, what would you do if a doctor told you that you had 6 months to live? It's a good thing to kind of ask yourself as we go along from day-to-day life. It kind of makes you think about your priorities and kind of keeps you on course.
Well, in general, you might try to get your life in order. We made a will. We visited friends.
There was one more thing, kind of on a bucket list. We had a credit card. I was out of surgery and out of the hospital. There's really nothing they could do about the cancer, but we did have a credit card, and that we were approved.
It had a fair balance on it.
Yeah, it was like I think it was $15,000 balance.
We
So
had good credits. So we blew it.
we didn't have good credit after, but before it was like, hey, so we bought a DeLorean. It was on eBay, and it was actually in better condition than they found it, than they described it. And this was back in the days when it was dial up, and you had to like keep clicking refresh to bid, and it was right up to
There were
the.
no sharks or sniping or whatever all those kids do on that clickety clack computer thing.
Yeah, there was no auto bidding and stuff like that. So we were real lucky, and we maxed out that credit card. But it's a beautiful car.
The next step was what do you do with it?
You're going to build a time machine.
There you go.
The best reference, everybody says, well, did you get the plans? Did you get I mean, now there's even a book.
Well, yeah, 20 some years later, there's a book you can get to make a time machine.
kind of sort of, Bob.
We were ahead of the curve.
I guess so. But the best reference was the movie back in the day, 20 years ago.
We're so old.
It was VHS. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much everybody knows what VHS is here. I see some gray hair out there and some, but the DVDs wouldn't even come out for another 2 years after we built the time machine. But we would watch the movie and I would draw pictures and sketches and kind of say, does this look right?
Right?
And she'd say, no, I think the buttons are bigger. And
Bob's nodding his head. He knows this story.
yeah, I mean, Bob, absolutely. Bob was ahead of the curve there as well. We did find, the coolest thing we did find was a Japanese model. It was a plastic model kit that my friend sent me. He knew, we loved Back to the Future. And it had the instruction sheets. So I projected those on a wall.
The parts and pieces.
And I traced them on cardboard, cut out the cardboard, and then traced that on aluminum.
That was a sign, a road sign. We did not steal it from the road. It was in the, what do they call this place?
Scrap
Scrap metal place.
Yeah,
That's
we
it.
used highway signs. You see like slippery when wet or something. And then I cut them out with a jigsaw. I didn't have a whole lot of tools, but I had a backyard and an extension cord. And
had them welded together, and Oliver, a friend welded it for us, and Oliver held all the pieces. So you were still very much a part of that
oh
construction.
yes, he was very nice. Now I should say that this is a non-invasive conversion, meaning that no holes were drilled in the stainless, and the car can be returned to stock.
But why would you want to do?
Well, the car is going to last longer than us, so we gave that consideration to the future owners.
True.
Should they choose to. But we used mechanical fasteners, existing hardware, the screws that are already in the, like holding the marker lights and stuff, and adhesives. So that's how we did ours. Terry would be at work, and I was, still kind of recovering and in between jobs, I guess.
Well, you didn't have to work. You were making a time machine. So when I'd come home from work, I'd say, honey, what did you build for me today?
And I would say, I've been to Tube.
Whoa.
And she would be appropriately enthusiastic about it. And of course, if you build a time machine, as Bob knows, and anybody who's seen Back to the Future, you got to have a lot of wire, because wires, make it all work. And we didn't have any money. We
blew the budget on purchasing the DeLorean.
Yeah, and what little money we had was we weren't insured, so the hospital bills pretty much just kind of wiped us out. We were in debt up to our ears.
But we were making our way
and
to junkyards.
We made our way to junkyards. And the cool thing about junkyards is scrapyards they're everywhere, because we all make junk. We all make garbage and scrap. And you simply pay what it weighs.
I am getting this huge message from these faces. Why the heck is there a trombone in this mass of stuff you bought?
Oh, the trombone. Because it was there and it was cheap, and I thought it was cute and fun. So who wouldn't want to blow on a trombone? So
junkyards are fun.
I brought it home. Parts and pieces. On the dash of the time machine, there's two little boxes, and I don't know if they have an official name. Probably if you buy the new book, they'll give a name and a purpose for them. But we created our own version of it, and everything in our car kind of has a purpose, because
if it takes up space,
it's got to do something.
It's got to do something.
So we made ours into business card holders. And anybody could benefit from this, any DeLorean owner, because as you know, gas station stops or popping out to get a jug of milk can get to be rather lengthy. and if you give them a card, especially if you put a picture of your car on the card and a website, people love it. They feel satisfied. They feel like they got a picture of your car, and
you can move along.
yeah, and you can get home before the ice cream melts. What makes time travel possible? Everybody's muted, but on the count of three, everybody tell me what makes time travel possible. 1, 2, 3. The flux capacitor.
Yes, you knew.
There we go.
This is our.
And there it is. Tell them the flux capacitor story, Terry.
We went to every junkyard, I tell you, everywhere, and Oliver would have a list of things that he needed, things of this size, this big, all the way, on and around, colors, everything. We went to Skycraft, a place in Florida, Orlando area, which is a bevy of fantastic things. And he said, I need a box. I need it to be this big. And I found a box, but it wasn't the right color. But it didn't matter because it was $10.
$10. So we painted it gray. We cut out a window and popped in some plexiglass, threw some carnival lights inside it, and
made our own flux capacitor.
Made our own flux capacitor, little labels and stuff like that. Nowadays, you can go online and you can spend $500. And you can buy yourself a flux capacitor made by Diamond Select Toys. I'm sure we've all seen this, maybe from backtothefuture.com.
You may even have it. It's really a great model. It's a wonderful toy.
Yeah.
And it was $500, but that means something to us. That number is rather important.
Yes, $500. Again, we told you we had no budget to build a time machine, but we also, we didn't know any better because we were kind of early before a lot of the fans started building, before you can buy one on eBay. So after we finished our basic conversion, I kept all my receipts in a little envelope, and we totaled up the receipts, and we found that we had spent $511.53 for
what you got?
this.
Yeah, we built a time machine.
Yeah. So one of the things we try to remind ourselves and remind other folks that cross our paths is money comes and money goes, especially in Vegas where Bob is. But time just goes. So spend it wisely. Anybody have any questions about the build? I guess we'll save that for later since everybody's properly muted and all. But yeah, if you have any questions if you have any questions about the Tinker Toy parts and pieces and stuff, or our approach, we'll be glad to answer this for you. One thing I like to encourage people to do is if you want to do something, I encourage you to do it. Make it yourself. You don't have to buy everything. You can do it. It's more affordable if you make it. Oftentimes, you can customize it. You can make it unique, and this applies to more than just a time machine. It's costumes or kitchen cabinetry, things like that. If it breaks, you know how to fix it, and it's a golden opportunity to have a sense of accomplishment that buying something doesn't really give you, and it makes you more of who you are. If you've created something, you've kind of brought something into the world that wasn't there before.
Yes, I agree completely.
Wow.
Make it yourself if you can. If you gotta buy it, that's okay, and then make it your own.
There you go. You can customize it.
Custom.
What about that 6-month expiration date that the doctors gave me? Basically, they said there was nothing to be done. Surgery, actually chemotherapy and other treatments weren't going to be able to.
So they did not prescribe that for him. They told him just get his life in order.
Yeah, and they said they would like to follow the progress of the disease and measure that. So
he went for CAT scans and X-rays and so forth
regularly.
6 years.
For 6 years. What was supposed to be 6 months turned into 6 years, and finally on the 6th year, they said, "You're showing very poor progress. We don't want to see you anymore." And I said, "That's fine with me."
He giggled all the way because he knew it was in the parking lot. His time machine was waiting for him to come home.
Yeah, well, I had driven my time machine to the oncology place, so it was good news. Now we got a time machine. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Well, we like to drive the car. A lot of people own DeLoreans, but some people don't like to drive them
those
as much.
of you in the north are putting it to sleep, and that's their cars
just to rest. That sounds terrible.
To rest over the winter,
yes.
which is a lovely thing to do.
But we just love to drive ours. In fact, how many miles do we have on ours?
Over 830,000 miles.
Say that one more time.
830,000 miles. Yes, a DeLorean has run that far.
And that's
And
another
it's still
thing.
running.
Yeah, it's still running. That's another thing we love to kind of brag about. I mean, it's not us bragging. It's
The
us
car.
uplifting
for
the
the
car.
DeLoreans.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, we've all heard all the things that people have to say about the car, and that's kind of a nice thing to hear. We all know what driving a DeLorean is like. Here's a taste of what driving a time machine is like.
Double take by horses. Come on, guys, that's pretty cool. Hands on the wheel.
Okay, there's a little note about Parkinson's. We had a car, we left to travel, and this part tells you about finding our density. The first person that was really influential to us is finding our density was Stephen Clark. We met Stephen in 2002 at a toy show in Orlando. It was our first outing, our maiden voyage. We drove down to Orlando to do the FX 2002 show.
He's an IT guy with a computer brain like nobody else's. He solves problems at universities and any job that he's held. But the most important thing about him, even though he wears a tie,
Yes.
you do understand he is the biggest Back to the Future fan that we know.
Yes, and he has no idea that we show this picture of him every time we give this presentation, which I think is kind of funny.
Keep the secret.
Yeah, if you run into him, don't tell him. He created the first website for the trilogy. That's why he runs the domain backtothefuture.com. He owns it. Universal comes to him for advice, for
Documentation. Anytime that they write something up, they have Stephen do the proof on it to be sure they've got all the facts and figures correct.
and he's a one-man show, really. He's kept the trilogy alive. I guess the only other person that's really done as much work or more is Bob Gale himself. And Bob and Stephen talk all the time, and Stephen helps Bob promote whatever's going on at the time. The musical is happening right now, so. And people come to him for packaging and stuff like that, for merchandise. We became good friends anyway at the show, and he felt that we would be a good fit to represent his website out in the real world. So he could do the virtual stuff, and we could be the in-person appearances. So when a company like Nike or Cisco or Sherwin-Williams wants to produce an event with the Back to the Future theme, they
Stephen would send them our way.
Yeah. So here's a shameless commercial.
Sizzle reel.
Sizzle reel.
DeLorean time machine driven by Oliver and Terry Hollett.
Oliver and Terry Hollett. DeLorean, just like the movie Back to the Future.
Hemos vivido el pasado o el futuro.
DeLorean time machine.
DeLorean.
DeLorean that we know from Back to the Future.
Terry and Oliver Holler have spent more time in a DeLorean than I have, which is saying something.
Ooh. All right, enough of that. The second person that kind of steered us in a certain direction is Debbie Brooks. The same year that we decided to build the time machine, Debbie Brooks sat down to build the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research.
She's a financial wizard. She's the person that saw an opportunity to create something that can grow and help a community. And that was with the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
Didn't she used to have a really high position in like
Oh,
Goldman Sachs or something
Yeah,
like that?
she's a bigwig in the money world. A brilliant lady, kind lady, fun lady.
But she kind of walked away from that life, and she's been central to the foundation ever since.
Yes, we met her when she was the co-founder and executive vice chairman. Now I think she's CEO, and she's held many positions within the foundation to keep it going.
Yeah.
And we're proud that it's still going. It's one of the leading fundraisers for Parkinson's research.
It's the
and
world's largest.
It is.
private
And
one, yeah.
what's amazing about it is with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, over 88% of the money that's raised goes right to research that is zoned right to folks that are trying to find that cure.
They're obsessed with efficiency, so
Absolutely.
they don't waste money on paper clips.
Their
and stuff.
phrase is, we're ready to go out of business. And
That's their goal, is to go out of business for day one. So they've brought medical communities together, and they target the most promising research of the moment, and they fast track funding towards it. So they've cut through a lot of red tape and stuff. And they've-
it's opened up to more than just Parkinson's research, but neurological diseases. It's got people talking together. You're not the scientists, pharmacists, drug people aren't just working for the amazing dollar. They're working for the amazing cure.
Yeah,
It's an
sure.
amazing change of communication.
sharing a lot of findings, research, and things, a lot of data. Charity miles is something I think Terry discovered. If anybody walks or rides bikes or whatever, you can just
runs.
or runs, you can download Charity Miles, and I guess it's kind of like what those wristbands everybody wears, Fitbits or something. Only this can actually do something more than give you data. It raises money for the charity of your choice.
It's
So
a fantastic group that targets large companies that have human resources departments that need to move their thank you money, and they take the thank you money and make sure it goes to charities.
their charitable donation
Yes.
sector.
But they started with about 13 charities. It's moved on to many more. It's a great way to use your personal energy when you're running, biking, or walking. And with that, do something good for the charity of your choice. Ours happens to be the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
And we push that as heavily as we can
Have
because
you noticed?
we don't jog ourselves. So those of you
Help
that
us
do,
out, folks.
yeah, launch
I think
the.
mine's still running. I'm about
30 miles.
who knows how many.
Hey, as we all know, as DeLorean owners, everywhere we drive, the car gets attention, and this is, a common view.
This is the New Yorker Hotel in New York City.
Yeah,
All these cameras facing Oliver. He decided to turn the camera on them.
yeah. Every once in a while, you just got to say, that it's only fair to take their picture. Well, what are they going to do? They're taking mine. It occurred to us, if we could harness all this attention that we were getting with the car, and we could channel it towards something more meaningful than them getting famous on Snapchat or whatever.
Is
Maybe,
that still a thing?
I don't know. Instagram.
Instagram.
TikTok.
There you go. TikTok. There's a good one.
Anyway, if we could kind of divert all this attention to something meaningful, then maybe we could accomplish something. So we were sitting at dinner one night, and we were talking about the time machine, and if it really worked.
Wouldn't it be something if we could go to the future and bring back that cure?
Yeah, and I thought, well, okay, let's do that. Let's travel to the future and cure Parkinson's. So we came up with the idea: drive the car to all 50 states and raise money and awareness. And we called the mission "To the Future: A Drive to Cure Parkinson's." And I think we made a little very
With the video?
rudimentary website, which has improved greatly because of Stephen Clark.
Thank
But
you.
we made a website, and you're probably thinking, okay, you're going to drive to 50 states. Where are you going to show the car? Well, again, we just kind of fell backwards into it. We found that Comic-Cons had a great built-in audience, lots of people, and they were really in tune with what we had. They were fans.
Yep, our first appearance was at MegaCon in Orlando, Florida, and our last appearance was in September in AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. Between those two conventions, we are over $830,000 raised for Parkinson's research. That's almost $1. That is $1 a mile.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, because I know a lot of this crowd was very supportive to us from the beginning into
Yeah.
today.
20 years. And not just the fans. I mean, that's Bruce Campbell. celebrities are attracted to the car too.
If he's having a little doldrums in his Twitter time, he'll come and visit us and he spikes at that point because he then trends. It's a hilarious opportunity.
Yeah, he said whenever he posts a picture of him in the time machine, he breaks the internet. So whatever that means.
It's a good thing for all us DeLorean owners. Keep that car in a positive sight.
Yeah. So let's see.
Comic-Cons?
Oh, yeah,
Other
yeah.
things?
Yeah, we can show the car pretty much anywhere. This is Washington, D.C. in front of the Smithsonian. That was a very hot day, but it draws a crowd, and Smithsonian was very nice to host us that day. Raised a lot of money. It's not always hot.
No, that was a very cold day in Nebraska. Man, we got snowed in.
Very cold. Here's a beauty shot of
I-95. It's not the cleanest highway, but it's a thoroughfare.
Yeah. You know, we all know that DeLoreans don't like to sit for long periods of time. So we just tell ourselves that we're just keeping the car running in good running condition when elements like this happen. A lot of people that don't have DeLoreans, or even the new folks that do, they say, what do you do if you're driving a DeLorean and something happens? What do you do? Well, fuses melt, things happen and you fix them. What if you break down? You fix it. A friend of ours, Bob Zilla, he used to make Zilla products.
That might be a familiar name.
10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Oh, easily.
He taught us early on. We were new 20 years ago. We were new owners, and he said, if the car stops, it's just telling you to rest and eat a donut.
So we've discovered that Krispy Kreme 6-packs fit very well between the seats, and that's what we do. We'll stop, we'll have a donut, and then the car hopefully starts running again.
Oftentimes it'll just be okay after it rests. DeLoreans are so weird animals. But do get the 2.6
rather than the 112 because it's just really hard to manage.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of donuts.
Oh yes. Have you ever been stopped? I'm sure you have. But did you document it? Maybe you will now. Here's some pictures of ours.
All right. We've been stopped once or twice. Is that a Texas?
That's a Ranger.
He's got like a cowboy hat on or something. California, maybe? I don't know. It's got lights on, blinky lights. Who's that?
I don't know.
He's the Popo. There's a little bit of blue light there. I need to clean that mirror. Oh, I don't know what that, I should figure out.
We should
geotag these. Oh, no, check that out. He's got his cell phone out. He's taking a picture. There's another. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, keep going.
Got a selfie. Got a selfie in that.
Yeah. Some drama shots. Yeah, rearview mirror shots. Side mirror.
Jeez.
There's just so many stories, guys. We could go on and on.
Happens at nighttime too. That's a nighttime shot. Oh, and it's not just the U.S. of A. Popo.
These are the Italian garden. No, that's the spicy pepper mix.
Carabinieri.
Somebody knows the way to say
It's
it.
Italian. It's
Italian.
Carabinieri. It's the Popo. How about that? Yeah. Oh, tell him this story.
Okay, so this is our trip to Europe. We were lucky enough to be invited to a Comic-Con in Denmark. To get the car to Denmark, we land in Germany. From Germany, we have to cross the border into Denmark. It's late. The sun is setting. We just want to get to where we're going.
And it's our first border crossing.
First border crossing. Bright lights everywhere. They are watching cars as they go by. But for the most part, it's just traffic controllers moving forward,
But they have soldiers with guns and, searchlights and stuff.
They're doing this arrow thing, pushing everybody forward until they see us, and then they're like, "Who are you over there?" So we pull on over, and this gentleman in yellow with his gun and his beret just screaming at us.
Well, I say, get the paperwork, Terry.
Oh, yeah.
And just stay calm and keep our hands.
The car has its own passport called a passport de carnet. No, that's me.
Carnet de passage.
Carnet de passage. We have our paperwork. We have the insurance. We're ready for the situation. He comes with his gun. Oliver opens the door. He is screaming in Danish.
What is he screaming there?
You're Fogeldig Frühstück. Yeah, Fogeldig Frühstück. Frühstück. I am your fan on Facebook. He is screaming.
Yeah.
Frühstück.
I translated. I follow you on Facebook. So he was very excited.
It was
And-
crazy and it was fun and we took pictures and it was our first and most eventful border crossing.
I gave him a little business card from my thing. He was very happy.
We continued on through many traveling moments. This is one trip and that was to Alaska, 365 miles. When
No,
we just-
no, 3,000
Oh, yeah,
and 65.
3,000
And that was
65.
just the first leg across the U.S. That wasn't the Canadian and Alaskan part. New York City, of course, is a great place to drive your DeLorean. A lot
Look
of
at those
fun.
bright lights.
You can drive a DeLorean in New York City. Try to park one though. That's a challenge. Been to Hill Valley. I'm sure a lot of fans have been to Hill Valley, Atlanta States. Giant redwood forest.
That's not a Hot Wheels, kids. That's
Yeah.
our car amongst the forest.
That's 1-to-1 scale in Northern California.
We're afraid a lot of this is gone, so hopefully you guys can get out there to see it live and in person.
Well,
Those
it's
fires are horrible.
yeah. The Western fires have taken several of the giant redwoods, so it's important to see them while you can. Went to Maine. Maine was a great state. It's pretty far, pretty remote for us.
We were invited out there because they met us or saw us and took a business card while we were in Salem, Massachusetts,
yeah.
celebrating Halloween. They saw the card, took a card, called us and said, by the way, have you done Maine yet? We want to celebrate your 50-state adventure, and hosted us for a fundraiser and then fed us lobster. These are
Lobsters.
wonderful people. They're the Mitchells. If you're ever in Booth Bay, visit their places.
Booth Bay Resort. Route 66. If you ever get an opportunity to go, heck, the DeLorean Vegas gathering is a great opportunity.
To even touch it,
Yeah, to do 66. Go up to Chicago and start there.
sing the song. It's real.
Yeah, Route 66, and drive to Vegas. On Route 66. It's a blast.
Wonderful places to see, great people.
And we fundraised all the way.
Yeah, met a Japanese girl who learned English by watching Back to the Future, and she is a great friend of ours.
Yeah.
Mommy.
Mayumi, but we
We
call her Mommy. Yeah. Cadillac Ranch.
Is that not a ride?
That's in Amarillo, Texas. We were driving along. I was like, "Hey, we know that." Have you ever seen the movie Cars? Has everybody seen the movie Cars? It was Pixar
I mean, we're car
animated.
people. You're bound to have seen it.
Yeah, I keep waiting for them to add a DeLorean in there. My pitch to them was have a car ask a DeLorean a question, and
Tiffy Scott Stanley. Why haven't they used
yeah, really, and have the DeLorean go
it?
with the
But
doors.
it would have been fun. Didn't happen. Moving on. The Cars movie had sleeping on a cozy cone. Well, we slept in teepees.
Yeah, but all of Route 66 is in the movie, and
so
it's all
sweet.
real. Flagstaff, Arizona. A guy came running up to us and was like, "Oh, you gonna be here tomorrow?" We're like, "Well, yeah. We're it's getting late. We thought we'd find a motel or something." He was like, "You got to be in the car show." So we took half a day and was in the car show, and they gave us a trophy.
I think it's his furthest traveled. I'd have to revisit that trophy.
For-
But it's
yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful thing to be part of a show where people adore the car, want to know about the car, and hopefully get a car of their own. It's cool. Accidents.
This is DeLorean. Folks don't like to talk about accidents very much, but we did crash once.
It wasn't our fault. It was the other doctor.
Yes, and actually we crashed twice.
Oh, yeah.
That was the H.G. Wells time machine. One more.
What?
There was one more time.
Oh, was there?
Argentina.
Oh, gosh. We've got footage.
All right.
Great Scott! What year is this?
Of course, that wasn't us. That was Christopher Lloyd. I did the driving for that, and then they dissolved.
Movie magic.
Movie magic. They got me out of the car, put Chris in there, and did a dissolve. I did that thing probably 13 times. They built a special ramp, steel ramp, so that I could get up onto the sidewalk and swerve past the subway down ramp and into the store. And this was for a commercial for Garbarino.
An appliance store in Argentina. that hired us to do a series of commercials with Christopher Lloyd. We were there for a week with him, and then
And we did all the holidays, Christmas and
Yeah.
Mother's Day, and every
We
holiday
have-
for a year in a week's time.
we have some security footage that kind of shows you the perilous entry that Oliver had to take.
Yeah, there's the subway station, and then I go up on the ramp. They erased the ramp, and then
And there you have it.
there you go. So we drove through a store too, and we drove through a tree. Where we were talking about the giant redwoods. We were driving along, going out west for something, and to the left and right of us, everything was white, and we thought, it's not snow, it's too hot. What is it? What is it? And we finally dawned on us, it was the Bonneville Salt Flats. And I thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be awesome to get the car on the salt just to see what it's like and maybe take a picture or something. But we didn't have time. We had to get to the hotel, and all the hotels were booked except one. So we get just across the border, just past the flats. And a guy comes walking up. Terry's checking us in. A guy comes walking up to me. He's got bib overalls on. He looks like Wilford Brimley. And I'm just bracing myself for the question. Where's the flux capacitor? Well, I opened the door, and he's like, well, it's a nice ride you got or something. He says, you here for the speed trials? And I said, excuse me? That's not what I expected to hear from him. He said, yeah, tomorrow morning you got to bring the car out onto the salt flats for the speed trials. And I was like, what time do they start? I couldn't wait for Terry to get back to the car so I could tell her what we were going to do in the morning.
So he tells me, I'm like, okay, but we've got to get to California. So, we can do it in the morning, but then we have to hit it.
Yeah.
So here's the morning. We wake up, we head out to the salt
I didn't
flats.
wake up. I didn't sleep
We
all
didn't
night.
sleep. We follow the cones because the salt flats, you can get lost. It's like being on the moon.
Yeah, they had thousands of
I don't know,
of-
but that's what they say.
cones, thousands of these traffic cones to lead you out, way out to where they were doing the trials, because you got no reference. There's nothing out there. It's just flat. It's a little bit scary, very disorienting.
You go to a big tent, and at the tent they do an inspection. You pay your entry fee.
We pay the entry fee, and they say you got to go to the inspector and make sure that he checks your car off to make sure it's safe for the salt flats. And I'm like, we're never going to pass inspection. We need helmets. And just then a guy came zipping by on a four-wheeler, and he said, you guys are going to do the run?
Well, we said we can't. We don't have a helmet. And he's like, I got one. Here you go. And gave us his helmet.
So he gives the helmet. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to be looking for, some special equipment or something at the inspection tent. I
So
go
he
up to,
rolls up to this tent.
okay, and up walks the big lead inspector, and he's wearing bib overalls. Looks
He
like
looks
Wilford
like
Brimley.
Wilford Brimley. It's the guy from the night before. He said, you made it. You're here.
And he said, you're in. Go on and have fun.
Oh, yeah. Oliver showed him the fire extinguisher. He's like, you're set. You're
Yeah.
good.
So anyway,
And the DeLorean is sealed on the bottom. And that was the biggest thing for a lot of cars is they had to.
it's rear wheel drive.
Yeah, that too.
That was what they were looking for. At the end of my run, I think I got it up to 100, in the distance allotted. And at the end, Terry was like, come around this way. I'm like, what? It was like, there's some photographers that want to take the picture of the car. I'm like, awesome. So we got professional photos done, and they sent them to us. It was really nice.
Today.
Pardon me?
Mike,
Oh, sorry, I thought I was on mute.
that's okay. Anyway, that's the picture. Another desert shot, but you probably recognize this desert. It's Monument Valley. We hired a Navajo guide to take us to the place where they filmed part 3, or
You can drive Monument Valley, but you can't drive on Navajo land without a Navajo guide.
Yeah.
So you can take the tourist route, or you can go four-wheeling.
And he showed up with his Jeep and said, hop in. And we're like, nah, well, actually, we want to drive our car. He's like, you want to drive that down into Monument Valley? And we were like, yeah, we really do. So that's what we did. And here's the scene from the film. That was a dream come true, too. That was really nice. And then there was the time we went to the Playboy Mansion.
I know they're all adults, but we better move on.
Oh, but it's after
Real
prime
quick.
time. Anyway, 2013, we went to our 49th state. By 2013, we did in all the states except for 2 of them. We drove to Anchorage, Alaska. And we
We went with the intention to fundraise. We reached out to the local theater, the one and only in Anchorage at the time. Oh, that one?
Yeah,
Okay,
we like
we'll
to
get
take
back
pictures.
to that story. We love to take pictures as we enter, as many pictures as we can as we enter a state or a specific area. And the highway was moving. This was really fast traffic. It was 2 lanes. There was no curb or stop area, no shoulder. So we blew past the Welcome to Alaska sign, right?
Yeah, welcome to Anchorage or something like that.
Anchorage.
And it was kind of upsetting. It's like, oh, we're never going to get that picture because it's just impossible.
Moments later, due to this thing called the cell phone, internet, and Twitter, our pal Andrew from Seattle said, "Looks like you made it," and sent us a picture he found of somebody who had taken our picture as we passed the sign.
Isn't that
there
awesome?
you go.
Isn't that awesome? Thank you, Internet.
Thank you, Anchorage. That was something else.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And that wasn't a Snapchat. That was like a big deal. Twitter.
Snapchat.
Yeah, Snapchat.
We saw totemic structures. That's a word I learned while I was up there. Totem poles, but
And
it's a
eagles and salmon and is a gorgeous state. Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and like Terry said, we contacted the local theater, and they showed Back to the Future for donations. We parked the car in the mall, and we raised over how much?
$4,000.
$4,000 just for.
And we met Inuits. We met Eskimos that came up and introduced themselves and told us about their tribe and how happy they were to see us and the privilege to have a photo in our time machine. It was a privilege to meet them.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And that was, I forget what year, but 2014, we finally reached the final state. And it was the hardest to drive to because they have not finished the interstate. The interstate. It was Hawaii.
Hawaii.
We shipped the car to Oahu, and then from there to the Big Island. But again, we met a really cool guy that was a professional photographer, and he says, "I've done some professional car shoots, for Toyota or I don't know what."
But he has a favorite spot on the island where he does a lot of weddings, and he thought he could get us right there. So he had us roll up to
Waikiki Beach.
Waikiki Beach.
Yep.
And there's Diamond Head in the background and canoers all around. And it just was an amazing time to be on the island with making new friends.
Now, it's not all, we make this out to sound like, oh, what,
the life we live.
Yeah, it's not rainbows and lollipops all the time.
Nope.
If you drive a DeLorean, you're aware of that. While we were there, read the headlines.
Storm approaching.
Lava slowly advancing.
Hurricanes and volcanic eruptions. That's what greeted us on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't think I included this, but at one point we actually got stopped by a Hawaiian policeman, and he was like, you
Turn
can't
around.
go here. Turn around. I'm like, what was I doing, officer? He was like, you're doing nothing except turning around. And I was like, what's the problem? And he said, lava's crossing the road up ahead.
Can't go there.
You can't
We don't
go any
have the
further.
hover conversion yet. Not gonna happen.
Yeah. But just to prove you we're in Hawaii, there's a Hawaiian guy. Our next adventure took us to another volcanic island. We have things that we love volcanoes, probably because we were married on an island. So
Yeah. 30 minutes. Watching this is wondering about our theme song, but we love it.
than that. That's a long thing. We got to go to Japan. What was it called? HollyCon Tokyo had invited Christopher Lloyd to do a Comic-Con there, and they wanted a DeLorean time machine. They also invited Claudia Wells, who played Jennifer Parker, and they wanted a time machine, so they shipped the car to Japan along with ourselves, and we got to tour a little bit. We're just lucky bastards, really.
When somebody offers you a trip to Japan, you say yes.
Yeah.
I hope you say yes.
After that, it was Europe. We had some friends that were helping make the very first Comic-Con in
Denmark. Copenhagen.
They had never had a Comic-Con before, and our friends are big Back to the Future fans. So they're like, we have a little bit in the budget to bring to help you come over. And we're like, well, yeah, if you can help us a little bit. We had some money saved up because we were wanting to go to Eurofest, and we're unable to at the last minute. So we used that money to get the car shipped over the opposite direction.
And so after the Comic-Con, we drove.
Yeah, you get your car over to Europe.
And drove.
You just keep driving. That's Norway and
Rome.
And
Pisa.
That's a Mr. Fusion right there.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
The Leaning Tower of Mr. Fusion.
Yes.
France, Paris.
Yeah, Paris, the Arc de Triomphe.
My buddy, the Eiffel Tower.
What was that?
Eiffel Tower.
I think you spit on me. Earlier on, we said something about how to become rich and famous. We're not famous, and we're certainly not rich either, but we were in a movie with Steven Spielberg.
We maxed out that card on a DeLorean. What are they doing with that car? They drive around the country working for Michael J. Fox's charity.
They're crazy, but they're crazy good.
It was the right thing to do.
Life has taken us places we really never knew it would take us.
And that's what Back to the Future is about.
Can you believe that? I can't believe that.
The movie defines the taste of butter popcorn. And of course, you picked the right song.
I assume most of you guys have either at least heard of that documentary Back in Time, and if you've watched it, I apologize. It's a long film.
It's got stuff in it that people find interesting.
There's some fun stuff in it, but it is long. I think we've watched it once, but it's got some neat things. And there's another documentary coming out before the Christmas. It's Haggerty's Drivers Foundation, and they're going to be Elon and Darren know about this.
A couple of the owners that came out to celebrate with us in Washington, D.C. when the DeLorean time machine was inducted into
the
Drivers Association. It's a member
foundation.
It will be remembered in the Library of Congress for all time.
Yeah. So that was not our car, but the movie car. It was on display there, and they documented a lot of stuff about it. So interviewed a lot of people. Including Chris Burns, who couldn't make it tonight, but he might show up in it. And like I said, we're pretty far from being rich. Like I said, we're just real damn lucky sometimes.
But we are rich in one way.
How is that, Terry?
With our friends.
We are rich with friends. That's true. We do meet a lot of fun people at DCS and the Comic-Cons, things like that.
And the different clubs, and well, there's always those girls.
Indeed.
And those boys.
And the boys as well. And then we meet beauty queens. That's Miss South Carolina, I think. And we meet TV celebrities. John
Sometimes
Stewart.
you have that look.
Yep. Sometimes we meet some jackasses.
Oh, yeah.
And aliens. We met aliens. Some aliens are from the planet Vulcan. Can you do that? Can you do that?
Yes.
Oh, very good. And some aliens are from much further away than
Mr.
Vulcan.
Gary Busey, what a doll. Hilariously funny,
Yeah.
Sweet man. Crazy though. He's crazy.
He's crazy.
He'll admit to that.
At every Comic-Con, someone always asks, have you ever met anybody from Back to the Future? And now it's time to play Name That Back to the Future person. Okay, so
I've had a glass of wine. It's going to be hard.
here we go. There's
Claudia Wells, Jennifer Parker.
if you've been around long enough to, the
She's
old
been to
DCSs.
DCS.
DCSs, yes. She likes the DCS, and then Goldie Wilson, Don Full of Love. He was at the DCS. Which one? Orlando, maybe.
Orlando for sure.
Um,
Mary
and
Steenburgen.
the lady on the right is Tina Gale, Bob Gale's wife. I call her Sweet Tea, Sweet Tina. And another DCS, James Tolkien, appeared. Actually, one or two.
He's been at a few, yeah.
And then Leah. Now, I don't think she's been to a DeLorean car show, but we've crossed paths many times with Leah. Again, very nice. I've got a picture of her making a donation. In the
I
Mr.
don't
Future.
think we've met a bad apple from the cast or crew of Back to the Future.
That's true. That's true. Going back to the Playboy Mansion, it was Halloween, and Terry and I, don't ask us why, but we're at the Hugh Hefner's Halloween party, the most incredible Halloween party
In the universe.
In the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And we're tired, and we're sitting on a curb, and this guy walks by, and I'm like, that's Crispin Glover.
Before he finishes the Crispin, I'm up and walking towards him. I'm sorry, I've had a little alcohol. I have no shame. I introduced myself.
The alcohol was free at the party.
And he was kind enough to spend a little time with us, told us a few stories, and as wild and crazy as he may seem in the world, he does have a heart of gold. He's a nice person.
Yeah, he was maybe that was the alcohol. Again, it was free, so maybe he was.
No, I think he's a nice person.
Okay. We've met him a few times. Tom Wilson. This is early. This is 2002. Tom Wilson, and if you've been to a DeLorean car show, you've met Bob, a huge supporter of the car. Early on, I think he had said something bad about DeLoreans and all, and I caught his ear at maybe the first DeLorean car show, and I said, Bob, you had a lot of cool cars on the film shoot. I said, Doc Brown's car, the cream colored gorgeous convertible. I said, whose car was that? Where'd you get that? He was like, oh, it was a private owner. We rented it and all. I was like, he took real good care of that, didn't he? He was like, oh yeah, it was a cherry car. I said, now the DeLoreans, whose car, who owned those? And he was like, well, it was just studio cars. I said, well, who took care of them? And he said, well, just, transportation guys, they'd haul them here and there. And,
They never ran. You always had trouble. We've heard all the stories.
yeah.
But the fact is, because nobody cared for them. And like us and all of you watching, you care for your DeLorean, and that's why it's on the road and running. And we're
Yeah.
very proud to be part of that community.
So I
keeping the
said,
cars going.
that's why the cars, you had trouble. It didn't have the love and care of a private owner. So he was like, yeah, you're right. They got beat to hell. And that's probably why they didn't run well. So hopefully I changed his opinion of the cars.
Well, and you gave him a ride in your car.
Yeah. The first DCS he came to was in Pigeon Forge. And
He had never ridden in a time machine. He gave me that little bit of that gem of information, and Oliver was giving folks rides. And as Oliver approached, the fella got out that was in it. I put Bob Gale in, shut the door, and off Ollie and he went.
yeah, he said, all three films, everybody was working and stuff, and he never got a chance to play in the time machine. So that was kind of a nice.
What was it?
Thing.
Tennessee, Pigeon Forge.
Yeah. Drew Struzan, we just saw him a week ago. He's the famous artist who painted the Back to the Future posters, but not just those. He painted Goonies and Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T.
The Thing.
All the best movie posters. When you think of a really great 80s movie, you think of the poster and what the art looks like. But today, you think, okay, Mission Impossible. What's that poster?
No.
Nothing really comes to mind. Maybe Tom
It's a
Cruise's big
photo of
face.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but not a Drew Struzan poster.
They just don't make posters like they used to.
So we're very happy to say that we've had a moment with him. He's
Yeah.
a swell guy.
And that's Dylan, his wife. Oh,
Swell gal.
she's sweet. Huey.
There's no words to describe him. He's as cool as he seems, and
No,
I still love
you're
him.
speechless.
I still love him.
Yeah. Chris has just really come out over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, when we first met him, he was very shy and
he's
to
quiet.
himself.
People call him shy.
and people just said he's just really he's shy. He's a mature human being who pays attention to what you say, and we've been lucky enough to do a few Comic-Cons with him. And when we see him, he brings up something that we had talked about at a previous Comic-Con. The man is as sharp as a tack. He's simply zen.
Yeah. He's very zen. It's
He's
not like he's
so
shy or
cool.
introverted. He's just cool and professional and
And a wonderful, it's nice to know that he likes us because he's always requested us at his show. So it's nice to appear with him.
that's nice. If you were at the last DCS show that Ken Consolake produced, he had Chris as a guest too. So a lot of people got to see him. A lot of people
Yes.
have Chris's signature on their dashboards or whatever, thanks to
Goods,
Ken.
toys,
Yeah.
children's cars. It was Chris had a blast at that. So if any of you remember it, he remembers it,
Yeah.
and he had a wonderful time.
You were the handler. He didn't have a handler, so he was kind of footloose and fancy
No,
free.
I get a phone call and it's like, Terry, it's Chris. Yes, sir. May I help you? Can you walk around with me today? How about joining me for breakfast? Yes, anything. So he's just a really cool dude.
And then, of course, Michael.
The coolest dude of all.
Yeah, really, very, very genuine and very kind. And he's smarter than you think he is. He's funnier than you think he is.
He's sharp as a tack.
And very genuine. Hey, I guess it's
We're
question
there.
time.
Did
Finally.
you guys take notes?
Oh my gosh. How much money have we
Test
raised?
time. Over $830,000.
I thought we were close to 807 or 870,000.
You're the banker.
I don't know. I don't know numbers. How many miles have we driven? About the same amount of miles as
We've raised, and that's due to the community that supports us. Thank you all so very much.
we should write a book.
We did.
Oh yeah.
It's a comic book.
I'm looking at dance too. It's a dancing book. You can make it dance. It's actually registered in the Library of Congress as a significant publication. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but it's there forever.
Thank you, Senator of South Carolina.
So
got it
you
there.
can check it out if you can't afford the $5 or $10 or whatever it sells for on the website. But the money goes to the Michael J. Fox Foundation, so you can feel
Have you
good
heard
about
that we fundraised for them?
A little bit. That's a cute picture of the car Tom Silknitter took. When we built our time machine, we didn't have any blueprints, and there's certainly no
At the
instruction
time,
book
no instruction book.
on how to use it. And we like to leave people with the thought that everybody has dreams, everybody has a magnificent obsession, but if you can follow your passion and direct it towards some kind of purpose, then really amazing things can happen.
And here we go. The Redwood Forest. Monument Valley.
That's Hawaii. That's Kona side, maybe.
Highway, many a highway. Beautiful scenery. Look at that train go by. Bridges and bridges and bridges.
That's the mountains of North Carolina right there.
You bet.
Pretty sunset somewhere.
Probably Alaska. You should have been on the hotel
Could be.
by then.
That's
New York City.
Sundance Film Festival. Yeah.
Sundance Film Festival? Holy cow.
Okay.
We should write a book.
So everybody unmute yourselves so we can hear you snoring. And
Let's start chatting.
So I don't have a question for you guys, but before anybody else does ask questions, I just want to thank you guys for joining us. I know that I kind of threw you into the officers asking if you guys would mind doing this. And I've seen your presentation before at DCS. I've known you guys for many years. We've shared many great times together and everything. So I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you guys for coming and presenting to the club and taking the time out of your schedule for this. So thank you. And Terry, I still love you no matter what. Oh, Terry, I did have a question. We're sitting here eating dinner and we did come up with a question. We want to know who gets hit on more, Terry or Oliver?
Okay. At a university in New York,
oh no!
in the rain, Oliver was showing the car on the quad. And it was raining, so I was like, screw this, I'm going inside, I'm cold. So from the window, I'm watching these young girls come up and talk to Ollie. What did they say?
They said, "Oh, this car's so cool. It's Back to the Future." what does that button do? What does this button do? And I'm kind of enjoying the attention. I'm like, well, it's it's Back to the Future. That's the flux capacitor, and
He is inflating.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about myself, and I know that Terry's watching me from the cafeteria window back there. And I'm like, yeah, well, what are you ladies studying? And they, tell me, and they were like, so, what's your name? And I'm like, well, my name's Oliver. What's yours? And they tell me, and they go, do you have a son that goes to school here?
Reality check.
So, me.
So Oliver got hit on once, kind of. Terry.
No, I got hit when I got back to the cafeteria, and Terry hit me. So I guess I'm
so
one hit.
silly.
Ouch.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's a chick magnet. I think it's a nerd magnet for sure. I mean, we all have experienced that. Yeah. And sometimes girls drive DeLoreans too.
Oh yeah.
They allow that? What the heck?
Do they allow that?
They actually allow that?
So I just wonder if there was any interaction you've had with the police that stuck in mind as interesting or funny.
Oh, the guy. You got to tell that.
If I could bring up this video, yeah, I mean, there's been so many, but I wonder if I can bring up this video.
I mean, we've been stopped in many a place in Poland. They don't stop you by putting the lights behind you. They pull up in front of you and stop you, stop in front of you. So you have no choice but to stop. And on the back of their window is a scrolling sign that says, like you wouldn't know, police, stop. Says policia. I can't think of the word. I should know it. But it's a scroll like, oh, you're an official vehicle. Maybe we should stop. But it was a situation similar to Virginia. We didn't get a ticket in Poland. We got some photographs taken. In Virginia, we got a ticket because we were told we had aftermarket things on our vehicle that are not allowed in the state. So because we turned our car into a time machine, we were breaking it was a Virginia or West Virginia law. But by the time the court day came up, not that we were there, I did present that we were a time machine, and it was, what did they, I don't get tickets often, they let it go. The judge let it pass. But, crazier things like that have happened. The officers are sometimes rather funny when they come up and sometimes rather serious.
I can't find the video, but I think it's on our Facebook page or something. We get pulled, and it's really not a good place to pull it. The highway was very busy and a lot of traffic.
Short shoulder.
Yeah, very small shoulder. And there was no convenient exit ahead. And I didn't want to have him think we were trying to outrun him.
So Oliver pulls over, and this has happened enough times that I have a plastic laminated holder for our insurance, our license,
registration, all that stuff.
So it's ready for any officer. So I'm pulling that out of our little hidey hole, handing it to Oliver as Oliver is talking to the officer.
And he walks up and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Cool car. Mind if I take a picture?" And I'm like, No. He says, "You didn't do anything wrong. I just want to take a picture." And I said, that's fine. And he says, "Can she take it for me?"
On a busy highway, I have to get out of the car and take a picture of this goober. Sorry, dude, but you are. And Oliver, he's not the goober, and took their picture. And we got back in the car and he let us roll. But
the cool thing is I got it all on video. I had a dash cam or something, and there's a video out there somewhere. So
nice.
It's getting harder now. As we all know, there are more and more time machines being built and manufactured every day, and eBay sales and stuff like that. So the novelty is starting to decline a little bit, and it's getting harder to fundraise and
we're find another avenue. It's
Yeah,
okay.
maybe we'll find another niche to fill or
We
something.
started that market. Let's start another.
We're trying to get to $1 million though. Our goal is $1 million. So we figure we can't die or give up until we reach that $1 million
Gotta get
mark.
there.
So that was actually a question I had. Have you ever helped anybody else make their DeLorean into a time machine?
We actually had. Originally, I had like a little blog as I was building it, and I thought, maybe I'll take that down because there's a lot more to it than, I mean, you got to have a lot of tools and
you all
stuff.
know Elliot Hansen.
Elliot, DJ Elliot, he's a DeLorean owner. He's been to several DCSs
As a DJ.
as a DJ. Knows Ken Konslik really well.
But he had a couple of situations come up. One where he needed help bending his first set of flux bands. And Ollie and I were in the Orlando area, and he offered, hey, you come do this, I'll get you in the park. So sure.
But yeah, bending the tubes is really hard. So we went and got a pipe bender and some pipe, and we bent him a set of tubes.
And then-
He's since replaced those with a different set or something.
In
But
2020, a fella, Bob Brill,
Bob Brills.
in Washington, Washington State, Seattle area, had Toby Peterson. If y'all don't know Toby personally, please make a point to meet one of the most wonderful. Is he on
He
here?
was a Boeing engineer, and he
Brilliant.
walked away
mind.
from that to become a full-time DeLorean service mechanic.
And next to Mark Levy, he can't be beat.
Yes, where's Mark anyway? Where's Mark? I'm
I
sure
better say that because I'm going to get in trouble if I don't.
if you know Mark, you know he's here. You just can't see him. He leaves no digital
No
trace.
But Bob wanted a time machine. Toby was talked into helping him make it. They ran into time issues and called the team in. Ollie and I flew out, helped them complete the process. And now
7
there's-
7 days, we knocked out a time machine, and it was fast
Wow.
and furious and exhausting.
They had the parts and pieces. We just put it together.
for the
Was
most
it $500 for them too, or?
No.
There's been inflation since then.
Yes, been a little bit of inflation since the 2000 or whatever.
But yeah, and any DeLorean owners, when there's a James Sleeth, I don't know if you know him, he's in Orlando. We're in Orlando right now working, but he reached out saying, I'm having this issue. What do you know? We're not mechanics, but guess what? In 20 years, we have some ideas of what might help an owner. And as you drive your car, all of you know this as well. There's things that you learn that you don't want to forget so that you can fix them in the future.
We've replaced just about everything on our car you can replace,
Including
or refurbished, or refreshed, or repaired, including the frame. That was what we were up in Toby's neck of the woods doing this time last year. 2019.
2020 is very, very fuzzy for us, but 2019.
But your next fundraising thing could be making time machine parts.
Oh, there's so many people doing that now. That's a.
The market is pretty good on that.
I will say, when we were building our time machine, we had no money because we had spent it all on the car. And I made my own time circuit display. And it was a box with a light bulb in it. It looked pretty good, but I needed money to pay the guy to help me weld the fins. So I was like, well, I can make another time machine, a time circuit display, but I'm not going to buy a welder. What if I sell this on eBay? Maybe it'll give me enough money to pay the welder to do the fins. So I put it on eBay, and it went for like, I don't know, $500. It was ridiculous. This is before anybody was making parts or anything. I was like, awesome.
It's a light box.
It was a light box. It looked cool. So I made myself another light box display, and I had the money to pay the welder, and it worked out good.
Well, and he had a little cottage industry. The folks out in California, Don Steiger and his wife Nancy reached out to us to say, hey, we've got a lot of people interested in parts and pieces. Would you consider? So I think we made them.
I made a few more time circuit boxes.
So they had something unique for their shop. And
But
that was before the franchise stuff happened.
and I was hand making them. I was hand cutting all the little windows and drilling the holes for the lights and all. It was very labor intensive and lots of Band-Aids. I have a saying, never have more tools in your toolbox than you have Band-Aids. goodwill with thumb. If you're lucky enough to still have your thumbs and power tools. Well, we miss. We don't make it up to the Mid-Atlantic area that often, but
Often enough.
not often enough. We've been to a few events and stuff, and
You're all so kind and welcoming. Thank you. Your friendship means the world to us.
yeah, everybody's always really, really cool and nice to us. So we thank you. And I guess we've chatted long enough.
Yeah, it looks like
And-
questions are done. So thank you guys for doing this and for hanging out with us and sharing stories and chit chatting. It's always good to see you guys, even though it's not all that often.
It's nice. It made our day. We've been looking forward to this. So so thank you guys, and thanks for being good sports during, especially those who have seen the program before. Thanks for not changing channels. And
Happy holidays, everybody.
have a wonderful
Thank you.
holiday season, and hopefully let's make 2022 an even better year. Stay healthy and happy, and hopefully we'll get to see each other in person. Fingers crossed.
Hugs, everybody.
Fingers crossed.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Thank you.